Chapter 21. Well, this is a fine mess, Talon grumbled to Rama and Elrit. Captured by our own people. Talon scooched over to Rama. She inched up the wall until she was standing, then turned to ungown Rama. It took a few moments because she couldn't see the knot she was untying, but alas, Rama's mouth was free. My brother always knew he couldn't win an argument with me, even before I began my magical studies. Rama fumed. I guess he figured out a way to shut me up. Elric wiggled, working at the rope, tying his hands behind him. I should have these untied soon. Then what? Talon asked, leaning her head against the wagon wall with a thump. We had to deal with all the guards. How am I supposed to convince them that I'm not under any spell? Elra and Rama both looked meaningfully at Talon. All right, she amended, not under any spell that controls my mind. For a moment she had forgotten the spell that bound her to Samil. She hadn't felt any pain for a while, so she hoped that meant Samil was doing all right. Elric craned his neck to look at the ceiling. Do you think they're looking at the wagon roof? Perhaps I could slip out the top. Talon and Rama looked up. A small door that they opened when the weather was nice was set in the ceiling. And where are you planning on going once you're on the roof? Rama asked. Or did you figure out how to become invisible? Elric grinned as he slipped one wrist out of the ropes. Actually, I have. A few moments later, Talon began hollering for the guards as loud as she could. Rama lay slumped on the floor, eyes closed. Elric was nowhere in sight. Guards! Guards! Please come! Something's wrong with Rama! Keys rattled at the door the moment Talon mentioned Rama. Of course, she thought with an inward sigh. Even though I'm the leader of the heirs of Yuma, I am, after all, a farm girl. Rama's good looks matched her equally rich clothes, and all the men in the heirs of Yuma had made eyes at her. The guards finally got the door unlocked and burst in. Their eyes widened when they saw Lady Rama, daughter of one of the most prominent Solamic families, lying like a crumpled rag on the floor. What happened? Intar gasped. We've been locked in here for hours. No fresh air, no water. What did you expect to happen? Talon snapped. Untie her at once. We can't do that, Britta stammered. The taller, slightly older man, a well-to-do farmer they'd recruited from a village halfway between Foresthead and Palanthas, fidgeted with his sword hilt. Do you want to be the one to explain to Sir Rogan that his sister lay unconscious while you did nothing? Talon glared at the guards, who looked at each other, then at Rama's body. Intar shut the wagon door and stood in front of it while Britta went to Rama. Lady Crownguard? He put a gentle hand on her shoulder. Rama rolled limply over, her face pale and eyes closed. Britta frowned through his ginger-colored beard. What happened before she fainted? He asked Talon as he lightly patted Rama's cheeks. She said the walls were closing in around her, Talon said, raising her voice to cover the soft thump above her. Then she just collapsed. She needs to be untied, and she needs fresh air. You're a cleric. Can't you do anything here? Intar asked, leaning against the door as though he expected the two girls to make a run for it. He glanced around, looking puzzled. Weren't there 3 in here? Britta looked up alarmed. Something fell from the ceiling, knocking him down. Intar moved toward him, but Talon rose, the ropes falling loosely from her wrists, and hit Intar in the head with one of Rama's books. Be careful with that, Rama said, rising from the floor, her hands freed as well. That's one of my favorites. Now it's done us all a great favor, Elred said, rising from Britta. Is he out? Talon checked both knights and then nodded. Out cold, she said. She eyed both of them, then looked Elred up and down. Take Intar's armor. He's about your size. Elred stripped Intar of his armor, while Rama and Talon tied up the older knight. Rama gagged him with a silk scarf as Talon helped Elred into the armor. I always knew the knights were crazy for wearing this much armor, Elric grumbled, trying to figure out the buckles. No wonder it takes them forever to make a decision. Here, let me do it. Rama rose and helped Elric strap the plate mail over the chainmail shirt, then pulled the helmet over his head, hiding his eyes and ears. I've seen Rogan and Father do this before. Rama fastened the last buckle as Talon opened the door. The 3 of them stepped out, blinking in the bright sunlight. The guards circling the wagon all pointed their weapons, then lowered them when they saw that Talon and Rama were accompanied by a guard. Elred supported Rama as though she still had trouble walking. He used his free arm to hold a sword poised at Talon's back. "I'm taking these two to better quarters," Elred said, making his voice lower and gruffer. "It's not appropriate for them to be locked up with the likes of that Elred." Talon bit the insides of her cheeks to keep from laughing. "Where's Britta?" asked one of the other guards, lowering his sword to Elred could pass. "Guarding Elred. That half-elf's a violent one." Elred nodded and walked Talon and Rama past the last of the guards. Talon was very glad that Rogan had put the wagon nearer the wild grove of trees, rather than overlooking the sea. It would make it hard for the guards to keep them within sight. They hurried to a thicket at the edge of the camp and hid behind it, planning their next move. Elred ripped off the helmet and took 3 deep gulps of air. "Those things are so hot," he complained. "Don't the knights' brains bake?" "I swear that's exactly what happened to many knights I know," Rama said, rubbing the red marks on her wrists. "Enough," Talon said, glancing in the direction of the tunnel. There was a handful of guards about the entrance. "How do we get past them?" "I don't think that trick will work again," Howard said. "Taking you out of the wagon is one thing. Taking you to a dragon is something else entirely." "Leave this to me," Rama said. "Just follow my lead and don't look directly at me." Rama turned on her heel and strode toward the tunnel. Talon and Elred followed. As they neared the tunnel, the guards did indeed look up at them. One of them opened his mouth, probably to raise the alarm, but no sound came out. Each guard looked at them intently, but not one made a motion toward them or even called. Rama walked toward the guards with her head held high. Out of the corner of her eye, Talon saw that Rama's hands were moving swiftly in patterns as she repeated "Pasana, Pasana" under her breath until it almost sounded like a poem. Keeping her hands moving, Rama approached the highest-ranking knight and gave him her haughtiest stare. "I wish to see the dragon," she said, looking the knight in the eye. "So does the founder of the heirs of Yuma and our escort. You shall allow us to pass. You shall not raise the alarm once we are out of sight. You shall forget that we have been here at all. Not if you understand and will obey." The guards' heads all bobbed. Talon would have giggled, but that surely would have broken the spell. Without any further words, and still keeping up the repetitive hand motions, Rama strode past the guards and into the tunnel. Elred and Talon followed her. When they turned a corner out of sight from the guards, all 3 collapsed against the cool stone wall in relief. "Where did you learn to do that?" asked Talon. Rama looked drained and triumphant at the same time. "Don't you have to be a very high mage to control that many people?" Elred asked. "That was 2 parts magic and 1 part my mother," Rama said, rubbing her hands against her skirts. "Your mother taught you how to do that?" Elred scoffed. "You'd be surprised what people will let you do if you act like you have the right to do it," Rama grinned. "Wonderful," Elred rolled his eyes. "Just what the world needs, a wizard with a lady's attitude." The 3 of them crept down the tunnel. As they walked deeper and deeper, they heard a soft sighing. "Wind?" Rama asked, frowning. "It sounds more like breathing," Elred said. "So what should we do when we reach them?" Elred asked. "Rama, can you control the guards down there?" "I might," Rama said. "They're not the problem. There's at least 1 wizard, probably more powerful than me. That's probably how they're able to control the dragons. Brute force couldn't do it alone." "Still," Talon said, "if we can get to Samil, we might be able to free her father. If he can protect Samil's mother while they fight, we might be able to escape or drive them off." "It's worth trying," Elred said. "Let's go." They rounded a corner and came face to face with Rogan, his sword pointed directly at Talon's heart. "Greeting again, sister." End of 21.